Welcome along to the Bet Rivers Cricket Show with me, Ed Hawkins, and this is your World Cup preview show. I'm joined by John Wright, former Oz compiler. John, are you ready to tell us who wins the World Cup?
I hope so, Ed. Yeah, looking forward to it after a long summer of cricket, and now the World Cup starts in this autumn, so I'm ready to crack on.
Good stuff. Let's start with the Bet Rivers futures markets. It's basically the outright who is going to win this 48-game tournament. We'll give you a bit of background as to how it all works, and it's not particularly straightforward. There are two semi-finals, but we'll go through it all and give you the best picks at the end of the show. John will pick two best picks. I'll pick two best picks. We'll look at other markets as well. Top tournament run scorer, top tournament wicket taker on this episode of the Bet Rivers Cricket Show. But look, let's deal with that futures market first up. We've got India plus 200 favourites to win the title. They are the home team. They're hosting. England are next best, all the threes, plus 333, followed by Australia at plus 450, Pakistan plus 700, South Africa, who are well fancied, at plus 800, New Zealand plus 1,000, Sri Lanka plus 2,500. We're getting into the dregs now of this tournament. I can say now we don't expect to be taking any of these prices, although they're big numbers. Bangladesh plus 3,300, Afghanistan plus 6,600, and the Netherlands plus 75,000. John, it's a tournament which is set up basically to favour your short-priced teams because the ICC want marketable games, they want TV revenue. So it's a 10-team tournament. They play 9 games each. The top 4 from that group go through to the semi-finals. So it's almost very, very difficult to see those teams from Sri Lanka and below getting the minimum, absolute bare minimum 5 games needed to break into that top 4. And that would be with weather around. They may well need to win 6. So likes of India, England, Australia could afford to lose 3 games like England did in 2019. So, John, first up, are we ruling out a big shock winner in this tournament?
Yeah, exactly what you said, Ed. The tailor in the tournament where the cream should rise to the top. I mean, the outright betting, the percentages is built around the top 6 teams, and I expect 4 of those teams to make the semi-final. I think it's a big ask to the likes of Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, and the Netherlands. I'll be surprised if the Netherlands actually win a game. You're expecting them, for them to get to the semi-finals, they've got to win probably 4 games of cricket and maybe have a couple of washouts where they get points as well. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think the semi-finalists will be 4 of the top 6 in the betting.
Okay. Easy question, John. Who wins it?
Well, I think India, looking at the teams on paper, India are the strongest. They've got home advantage. Admittedly, they haven't won a World Cup since 2011, famously when Sachin Tendulkar was involved. The expectation is very, very high. I do like them, the fact that their bowlers now are coming to the boil just at the right time, especially the seamers. In the Asia Cup, Suraj and Shami both performed excellently, and Jasprit Bumrah's come back after a long injury. He's very fresh. So their seam attack looks very, very strong. And then to add to that, they've got the 2 of the best spinners in the world in Ravi Jadeja and Ravi Ashwin. Obviously, with the leg spinner, Kuldeep Yadav as well, who's a perfect foil. And I think a lot of people are expecting high things of him in this World Cup. So the bowling is definitely the best on paper. India's batting, again, is very, very strong. There's some good players like Jaiswal and Samson, and that are not even in this squad. That shows how the top 6 is very, very strong. And I think looking at the other teams, you can pick holes in a lot of the other teams. And I think England especially. England won the World Cup in 2019. They were the best side then going into that World Cup. They had home advantage. Even though they lost 3 games, they still won it, and they didn't really deserve to win it. This England side is not as strong, especially in the bowling department. The bowling lacks game time, especially with the seamers. The likes of Mark Wood hasn't played enough cricket, ODI cricket, played a lot of franchise cricket and test match cricket, hasn't played much ODI cricket. So I think England's bowling is a little bit lacklustre. And that's why I think out of the first 2 in the betting, I think India are worthy favourites. And then also we can probably pick a few holes in the other teams like Australia. Again, always come to the party, always there or thereabouts. But again, only got one spinner in their side, Adam Zampa, frontline spinner. They're going to have to bowl people like Maxwell and probably Travis Head are going to have to bowl some overs because they're going to have to probably bowl 20 overs of spin. So I think there's probably question marks about them as well. So, yeah, I think India, out of the first three in the betting, India deserve to be strong favourites, Ed.
Okay, India -125 with Bet Rivers to reach the final. That might be a more easy way to make some money on this World Cup. England +120 to reach the final. Australia +165. Let's just briefly touch on some of those other teams. If we think England and Australia are dodgy, and I do agree with you, John, about England certainly. One thing they had in their favour in 2019, they were so reliable in the chase, but their win percentage in the chase has absolutely collapsed now to about 30-odd%. And it's generally a marker for a good team and a not so good team, how they do in a chase batting second, because it's all about nerve and technique under pressure, and England's just isn't really holding up anymore. Australia, agree with you. I don't understand why they've not taken another specialist spinner, and that could cost them on games where they're on pitches which are going to turn more and more perhaps as the tournament goes on, and there is doubts about Maxwell's fitness. South Africa is everybody's fancies, really. You're talking to people about this tournament, who wins it, and South Africa at +800. But I will tell you now, there's a big warning about their bowling. They're the worst economy in this tournament. Even Netherlands are tighter in the field. But South Africa +300 to reach the final. The Kiwis +350, runners up last time, and so reliable, John, in terms of this tournament. They were runners up in 2015 as well, and they made the semi-finals in the two tournaments previous to that. They're just a big team for the big tournaments. Who's going to break into that top four? You think South Africa can do it, or do the Kiwis do it again?
Out of the two teams you mentioned there, South Africa and New Zealand, as you say, New Zealand, last two World Cups, got to the final on both occasions. That wasn't in the subcontinent. I think their subcontinent cricket is not as good. They've just had a series against Bangladesh. And also looking at their side, there seems to be a lot of players at the end of their career, the likes of Williamson, Southey, Trent Bolt, coming to the end of the tour. There doesn't seem to be a lot of new players coming through in the New Zealand side. Other sides seem to be a lot more stronger and have got youngsters coming through. So that's my worry with New Zealand, is the fact that there seem to be a bit of an ageing side, probably reliant on the senior players with not a lot of youngsters coming through. Conversely, South Africa, if you look at South Africa's top six, he's probably as good as anyone in the tournament, with the likes of Quinton de Kock opening the batting with Bavuma. Then you've got Rassie van der Dussen, who's got an unbelievable average in ODI cricket. Aidan Markram's been fantastic in white ball cricket throughout this year in franchises. A 2020 captain in franchises, and he's a great player and can bowl spin as well. Heinrich Klaassen and David Miller in that middle order. If you're picking two finishers that can really be explosive at the end of the innings, those two guys are probably as good as anything you'll get in the World Cup. So that top six for South Africa looks very, very strong. My worry with them, Ed, is that Marco Janssen's coming in at 7. It's probably a little bit too high for him. So the tail is a bit long. They're going to miss Norkia. Norkia's out. He's their fast bowler, their fastest bowler. They're going to miss him. He's out injured. They're going to rely heavily on KG Rabada in the seam department, and also the spin. Shamsi and Maharaja, okay, good bowlers, but not sort of like what I call top spin level. So the bowling is a bit lacking. But out of the two sides that you just mentioned there, Ed, I much prefer South Africa to get to the semi-finals than I do New Zealand. Okay.
That price on South Africa to reach the semis, then reach the final rather, might be of interest. I'm going to give you a couple of pointers on that South Africa team in terms of what they do with the bat, and we know it's a strength of theirs. And if you don't want to worry about that bowling weakness, the possibility of backing them to be the team that hits the most sixes in the competition with Bet Rivers, terrific market this one. South Africa at +550. Now, I think that's value by the tune of at least 100 because Australia are plus 450, and those two teams is the wrong way around in the betting. South Africa's batting strike rate is superior to Australia's, and it's only inferior to England in this tournament in the last 2 years. So team to score most sixes in the competition is a good bet. Likewise, team to have the highest score in the competition with the bat. South Africa again plus 750. That's the wrong price. Australia are plus 500. Again, switch them round. So there's two prices there which are incorrect. John, we're going to move on to top tournament run scorer and top wicket taker in the tournament with you for Bet Rivers in a second, but just a little bit of housekeeping, please. Give us some love on the podcast provider of your choice as this tournament goes on, because we're going to be here throughout. We've got another show coming up very, very shortly to look at the first 5 matches in the tournament and our best picks for that one. So check out that show. This is the Futures Show. We're telling you who wins across the futures markets. And give us a follow at Because We Win so you can win across all sports, not just cricket. Some tremendous content there. John, let's move on to top tournament run scorer. We'll give you the key stat here. 5 of the last 6 of these markets across World Cups has been won by a batsman who opens the batting. So that's number 1 or number 2 in your batting order. And also the same stat applies in terms of teams making the final. So you want an opening batsman and you want a team which you expect to be going deep. So I suggest you don't look outside that top 4 in the betting. Very solid strategy. You won't go far wrong. I'll give you some prices. Shubman Gill plus 650. And I'll limit these to opening batters only with Bet Rivers. Gill plus 650. David Warner plus 1100. His ODI form is holding up. Rohit Sharma, India's opener, alongside Gill plus 900. He won it by 1 run in 2019 against David Warner. Imam ul Haq for Pakistan plus 1200. Devon Conway plus 1200. Johnny Bairstow plus 1400. Quinton de Kock plus 1600. John, who do you like?
Yeah, I've got to go with an opener, Ed, really. I mean, as you rightly said, I mean, they're going to get the most chances to bat at the top of the order. I mean, Shubman Gill, I mean, I know it seems very, very short, plus 650 to win this particular market, but he's been unbelievable in all formats of cricket this year. Test cricket, for the Gujarat Titans, he was absolutely immense in the IPL and in ODI cricket as well. His form has been brilliant right the way through. He's been very, very consistent in the Asia Cup, opening the batting with Rohit Sharma. I think possibly with Rohit Sharma, you know, he deserves to be high up in the betting as well. But I think India could probably rest him. He's the older one of the two. In a couple of matches, they might rest Rohit Sharma. I expect Shubman Gill, the young guy, to basically open the batting in every single game. So if India go all the way, you're looking at him to play at least 10 matches. I expect him to be there or thereabouts and win this particular market. Also, I think a fair price is Quinton de Kock. Last World Cup, he's going to be retiring after this to go off into the sunset and play franchise cricket around the world. I just think he's got a lot to play for. You know, opening the batting, very, very consistent. And I probably think he's probably a little bit overpriced at plus 1600. Those will be my 2 against the field.
Good stuff, John. I'll pick out some prices for you that I quite like. Sticking to opening batsman. Temba Bavuma has been away with South Africa at the moment and could rejoin the squad very shortly. Just missed the warm-up games, but plus 1400 his ODI record in the last 2 years is excellent. And you won't go far wrong if you switch over to top Afghanistan tournament run scorer and pick Ibrahim Zadran at plus 175 to be top Afghanistan tournament run scorer in this series. He's way head and shoulders above the rest on Afghanistan runs. Give me a follow at Cricket Betting so you can keep up to date with my views on the tournament. Likewise, at John Wright 15 on Twitter, or I suppose we should be calling it X these days, John. It's the old-fashioned way. At Tournament Wicket Taker for you with Bet Rivers. We've got a strategy again for this one. It's 5 of the last 6 won by left arm pacers. So don't look outside your left arm pacers, and we'll tell you the ones to follow for this market. Mitchell Starc has won the last two. He's going for a hat-trick of wins, plus 1,000 with Bet Rivers. Trent Bolt is my big fancy at plus 1,400. You'll know that if you've been following me on X. Left arm pacer, incredible strike rate last 2 years. He's actually played only 8 matches and come back into the side in the last 12 months, but taking a wicket every 16 balls, a ridiculous record. Faz Farooqi, the Afghan strike bowler, plus 2,500 with Bet Rivers. John, any standout picks for you?
No, I'm going on the same strategy that you mentioned there, Ed. I mean, I think Shaheen Afridi for Pakistan. I mean, with the new ball, he's very, very devastating. Bowls at the back end as well. I think you need that, someone that's going to take the new ball, probably get wickets early, and then bowl at the death where you can get some cheap wickets as well. So Shaheen Afridi for me deserves to be up there in the betting. So plus 1,000 for him would be one of my picks. Outside of that, I think the Indian bowlers will probably be fairly well spread because they've got 3 very, very good seamers that are all in form at the moment. Jasprit Bumrah is coming back into the side. He's the frontline seam bowler, and the expectations are very, very high for him. As I say, he's very, very fresh. So I wouldn't put people off plus 1,200 him. Suraj and Shami similar. I don't think it'll be a spinner. I think we've touched on that. I mean, everyone thinks that India turns square and it's a spinner, but I think probably you're right. A seamer will end up winning this particular market where you can get wickets early with the new ball and get wickets at the death. So I think a lot of the spinners will bowl the middle overs.
Yep, agree with that. We're not sure of these pitches either. It's not Indian high summer, so they're not going to be absolute dust bowls in the World Cup in 2011. Zahir Khan, left arm pacer again, shared the honours with leg spinner Shaheen Afridi, and that was a different period of time. So, yeah, we're going to stick with our strategy for top run scorers and top wicket takers. A clear strategy on how to bet those markets. All right, this is your Bet Rivers World Cup preview show. We're looking at the futures markets. We've gone through each of the key ones, picked out some specials as well. It's now time to nail our colours to the mast, John. I'm going to ask you for your 2 top picks for your World Cup futures.
Well, I think India will win this World Cup. I really do. I think you've got everything in their favour. Home advantage. They've got the strongest side on paper, and arguably they're the side in form. I think the only thing that beats them are probably the expectation of 1.4 billion people and the pressure getting to them. But I think they deserve to be favourites. So I'll be backing them to win the World Cup at plus 200. And I think my saver will be on South Africa. I think South Africa will go deep in this tournament. I think they've got a very, very good batting lineup. Their top 6 is very, very strong. So plus 300 for South Africa to get to the final. So I'm cheering on an India versus South Africa final with India getting the trophy.
Okay, great stuff. Thanks, John. My 2 picks, for what it is worth, I'm going to stick with that South Africa gung-ho batting lineup. I'm going to be backing them for most 6s in the tournament at plus 550 with Bet Rivers, and also team to score the highest in team total in the tournament at plus 750 with Bet Rivers. There you go. I don't think you go far wrong with some of these picks. We're going to be with you throughout the tournament. We've got matches preview as well. There's a show coming up for that one. That's your World Cup preview show done for Bet Rivers. Join us again soon.